The movies that I make are kind of like planes, and I land them when I can, and yeah.
So can we expect a musical
But
episode?
I didn't say this to anyone else, is that I did a documentary called Call Me Lucky, which now I'm doing it as a narrative film with Judd Apatow. So he and I are writing it, and then I'm directing it, he's producing it.
Can we see a musical episode here?
There's a slightly musical episode. Bridget Everett, there's choreographed mermaid, and there's a singing number, and that she's on a date as a mermaid. She's slightly racist, and then Neptune shows up. He comes out of the lagoon, and she's being pushed along on her date, and Neptune's like, "Hello, whore," and he's like, "Shh, that's my ex. Just keep going. This is what he does." So. But that one's like an MGM musical, like without sounding too pretentious, like the color palette is all those crush colors and stuff.
That's slightly racist.
Well, you just mentioned the mermaid being a little racist. One of the things we were discussing is in the 70s and 60s they could get away with a lot more than for the most part we can today. How are you thinking about it? I know you must be holding things back.
No, I kind of don't, but I never have. So. I've always, that's why I like things like roasts or things like that. It's just like, like, wow, what would it be like if you're uncensored? It's like, I've always been uncensored. I've always said what I wanted on stage. Sometimes people didn't like it, but that's kind of how I feel like as a storyteller. Like I did a movie called God Bless America, and I had a chance to make it, and then I was given notes about changing the content, and I just walked away, not like, I'm not going to do this if you're going to censor me. I just said, I'd rather not do this movie, because I'd rather, look, I've been in a lot of things that I was embarrassed of later on, and so now I'm not going to do stuff that, I'm not going to make something simply just to get something made. Like when I pitched the show, I said I want to do an anthology show, and then I was at Fox, and they said, well, what else would you like to do? I was like, I go, that's it, and they go, okay, and then the meeting was over really quickly. So I think most people would have said, but no, I've got this idea for competitive. It's pre-K Dancing with the Stars or something. Making a show wasn't as important to me as telling the stories I want to tell.
You said that this has been stewing for about 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Some movies you've done, such as Willow Creek, in the meantime.
Right.
What of those movies would have made it into this show instead of being full-length features?
Well, Willow Creek definitely. There's definitely would have been. I made that movie because initially I was going to go do a Christopher Guest type movie around a Bigfoot convention. Because I went to a Bigfoot convention, and I was like, wow, I could just get all my friends, all these comedians, and we could all, because they're very. Like at the Bigfoot convention, before the keynote speaker, someone started talking about UFOs, and a third of the room went, who invited this kook? And then they got into a beef because there was a cardboard cutout of a pointy-headed Bigfoot, and we all know Bigfoot's head's flat, and the guy's like, you disgust me. And he goes, why? He goes, because Bigfoot's head's not pointy. And he goes, I've seen him 3 times, and you never will because you smoke. So I thought I'd do like a comedy, and then when I went up to Willow Creek, I realized it lended itself to a horror picture, and I said to, Joe Lynch, the director, and he says, no, you got to go make that because it'll be your found footage. Because I have a problem with found footage. When it's done well, it's great, but when you start bending the rules of what made it great originally, it loses me. I'm also always like going, well, who edited this movie? Who found this footage? Say, well, I'm sorry your family got killed, but I think if we recut it, there's a tremendous picture here, and we'll dedicate it to them. So there is a found footage mockumentary where it's the footage is compiled after the filmmaker's dead, but it's about. There's a pop star like Justin Bieber type character, and Satan comes backstage and he goes, look, I just no more singing, no more dancing, the deal's off, it's my bad. And he goes, no, you want my soul. He's like, I don't know if you have a soul. So Satan reneges on his contract, and then it becomes kind of like the Metallica movie, some kind of monster. So they all end up in therapy. Satan, the singer, his mother, and the producers and stuff.
That's amazing. You have a talented array of comedic actors with
Yeah.
an improv background, and while it's a scripted series, did you leave room for ad lib?
Yeah, all the time, especially in that one. It was a lot of ad libbing. But I work with, most of the folks I work with are my friends, so I try to create an environment where people can pitch ideas and be as funny as they can be, or, you know, like Joel Murray is the director himself, so Joel shows up in this one episode with Josh Fadem, which is kind of a Jerry Lewis movie set in Dealey Plaza during the Kennedy assassination. You know, that old trope. That wacky assassin. So, but Joel's a director, so for me not to listen to him would have been really ridiculous. So.
You talked about the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Are we going to see any episodes from the original Twilight Zone in one of your shows?
No, I mean that that would be illegal. But also, I'm hopefully I use them as a launching pad. I think it's sometimes when I watch an episode and I'll go, even as a kid you just watched it and I thought it was cool or scary or funny. But then now as an adult I go, oh, this is about the Red Scare, this is about censorship, this is about racism. So I use that as a jumping point on my stories. I go, okay, well, what's going to be my tackle? How am I going to do that? Say something,
Do you have any favorite episodes on Twilight Zone?
Twilight Zone, yeah, the Maple Drive one where they turn everybody against each other, the aliens, just by simply creating paranoia. That's so resonant now.
What have been your favorite moments on these sets?
There's a lot of them because I am working with my best friends, so it's like my poor friend Tony V, he's Neptune in the series, so he's a big Italian guy and he had to get waxed and painted blue. So I guess torturing my friend is one of the highlights. No, because he's just a funny guy. He's out in this lagoon and it's 3:30 in the morning. I go, Tony, you got to come out. You got to do this and that. And he goes, I'm peeing right now. What? so working with your best friends, and I got to work with Tom Kenny. He came in and did. There's an episode that's all animated, and Tommy did a lot of the voices, and it's just a lot of laughs. If you're trying to satirize heavier issues, this is going to sound really full of myself, but if you're trying to satirize things that are going wrong in our country right now, and you're trying to make them funny, and if the set wasn't a fun place, you're a hypocrite. So I try to always make it as fun as possible. If there's any kind of pressure, which there is, I try to take it on my shoulders. I don't want the actors, I don't want the crew to feel the pressure. So I ate my feelings a lot during the filming. I would just go, everything's fine, and then just lift up craft service. But, it's always been like that. When I worked on the Kimmel show, I used to direct Jimmy Kimmel, and I would always, on purpose, wear a goofy hat to work to make sure I didn't take myself serious. Because if you start yelling at someone and you're in a sombrero, you're a douchebag. You know what I mean? It's like, let's not forget who's wearing the Pope mitre today. So one day I was directing, and I was mad. I took my hat off and I stomped down to the set, and Cleto, the band leader, goes, "Oh, he's mad. He's not wearing a hat." So I try to always not take myself serious, especially if we're trying to satirize the lack of kindness.
Your daughter's a costume designer.
Yeah, she's the costume designer, and she did a really great job. She's been a costume designer, and then she works on a lot of other shows that she's been involved in a lot of things like Disaster Artist or Twin Peaks. So it wasn't like, hey, we'll give the kid a shot. But the cool thing about having her, not only just working with my family, but there's so many times where she would show me what she thought the actor was supposed to wear, and I assumed I had spoken with her, but I hadn't. So the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Because like one character was, I just didn't say to her, I go, oh, you should dress her like olive oil, and then she shows up and she's olive oil. So.